And joining me to talk all things Nintendo and E3, we have Harrison Milfeld.
Hey everybody, I'm back from California land.
And we'll find out exactly what he's been up to in California land in a moment, but we also have a Colin Crompton.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, California land sounds like a wonderful, magical place.
It does sound like a magical place.
Magical as in it's very sunny, and once the sun goes down, the ocean breeze that blows into you in the city of Los Angeles, whatever part of California, it is lovely. It was better than the humidity that I deal with here every day in the summer months of Missouri. So that was that. But also, Colin, wow, you actually are here right now. This is your second laptop that's been decide to say
it was the same laptop and it has the same issue. I sent it away and it got quote unquote repaired. I used it for like 3 weeks maybe, and it still had the same issue. So it's been sent away again, and we'll see what happens when it gets back. So I'm using a Chromebook. So if any issues arise, blame that. so
if anything goes wrong with our YouTube stream, we're blaming Google. Is that correct?
Indeed. I blame Google for most things on a daily basis anyway. So why should this be any different?
I was going to say we're fairly well kind of entrapped in that ecosystem. Obviously, with all of YouTube, but we also use the Google
nice
Docs
to Google then.
We should probably be nice to Google.
Yeah.
However, we have a very big, exciting show to talk about. It's my favorite show of the year. We're talking E3, people. We've had E3. Partly why we didn't have the recording last week of the show. Obviously, it was dropped down right in the middle. Also, some recording conflicts, but here we are. Yep. We're ready to talk about everything. Well, especially Nintendo related. If we got some extra comments about other stuff, we may bring them up later. But this is a Nintendo focused show. And one of us, if you're not aware, actually went to E3 this year. Physical presence. Harrison. What was it like? What's E3 like in person?
Where to start, actually. It was everything that I wanted to be. I do wish we only stayed. I was only there for 2 days, and I really wish I would have spent the third day to actually be there, because there was, aside from all the time that I had with a bunch of the Nintendo stuff and the stuff in Nintendo's booth, there was a lot of stuff outside of there that I wanted to try. And, there was quite a few that I did get a chance to, but, given lines and just the general sensory overload, the load that you're just going to get from everything else between this whole event. Yeah, it's just insane to me. But I definitely teared up when I walked in, when I was with the media and I walked in that first day, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And, I really had that. And, whether Nintendo's presence, like whether during the Direct was good, bad, or mediocre, I had the time of my life being my first time there at E3. But I don't know. It's just, and my biggest worries going into it was like, I was just going to, I felt like I was a little bit ill prepared. I could have probably, written a little bit more on site there, for like my impressions, but it was just going between meetings.
Overwhelming, I should imagine.
Yeah, it was. And all the people I met, and whether it's like every point in my time when it just seems like every minute I would turn around and I'd be like, oh, that's so-and-so from YouTube or this. And I'll get into details about who I saw and who I did meet and who I was afraid to approach. But I would say anybody if you've ever wanted to attend E3, it is worth it right now. And knowing that this has been the second year the public has been allowed to get into it, it's worth it, really, to me. And I think right now going as media, though, that helped out a lot. Because, Lewis, you had mentioned that, since it's open to public, it's like, is it better for, worth it going public or media? And I think it's worth it going either way. But I will say, though, that being with media did help, because each day media got, I think it was like 2.5, 3 hours there basically to be in the convention hall by themselves.
Right.
And, even like everybody who knows, before 2017, E3 has always been a trade show. So, closed to the public, only media and industry folk. Mm-hmm. And even from those footage and things like going through like gaming magazines, or whether I would be watching like back in the day on like Tech TV or G4, it sounded like it was just still insanity. Now, couple that in with public, it ups the ante a little bit more because you're given 3 extra hours to a point. I'm like, okay, get everything done before the mass onslaught of these lines increase. And that really affected me a lot. But it was worth it to me because it actually helped, because I wouldn't say the lines went by faster, but it was just easier to kind of move around through everything. And like, I don't know. Is there anything like you want to ask me about this? Like,
I was going to straight up come out and say, I want your number one moment at E3. What was the thing that left the greatest impression of you at E3?
My number one moment, it's going to sound really cheap to say that, but it's when I finally got my media badge.
Yeah,
I think that's really when I know there's other moments in there that I shared on various.
You're given a media badge. You've officially achieved nerd status at that point, I would think. In a good way.
You've achieved status to a point like, wow, look at you. You worked your butt off and you got to this point.
I think we got this point.
You what?
I was going to say, I've quoted nerd status before that. I think that's an extra tier, definitely.
An extra tier.
Super nerd.
Yeah, but it's...
Colin said it, not me.
There you are.
He did. But it's just... once I got that in my hand, because like when me and my friend Justin, who's editor-in-chief over at Pure Nintendo, we had gotten denied media badges because the reason why is like, because once we applied to basically be print magazine.
Okay.
And the person, I guess, who was handling everything just decided not to include that. And he saw the digital magazine and he approved it. That it's like, oh, you're all digital or something like that. And he went all digital and
like, print is dead. You're not allowed to come.
Oh yeah. He based his opinion. They based his opinion on like, oh wow, your site traffic's low, and so I got really worried as I got my flight into LAX, and I was like texting him like, are you sure we're not going to have any problems here? Whatever. He's like, no, don't worry. And we had copies of the magazine. We had my business cards from Pure Nintendo here, and then of course other forms of ID. And they're just like, yep, here you go. And then we went inside, got our badges. It was like, it was that moment. It was that moment where we're like, oh my God, it is actually happening. And later that night we went around LA and such, whatever, and it was just, and then the thing that really kind of struck me that this was going to be a very weekend, a Mexican restaurant that we were here in the area, and we saw this posse that was like sitting next to us, and I was like, I saw like, okay, that I'm not sure who those people are, and then my friend Justin like leaned into me with the people that we're talking to, is like, hey, that's Koji Igarashi from Castlevania fame that's like sitting right next to us, and I'm just like, and I kind of peer my eyes a little forward like that, and I wave him back, and I'm like, oh dear God, that's actually happening. Yeah. So
cool.
But no, but it's like I would say, then like my first day though, and I'm just gonna kind of wrap these things up because I know we have a lot to talk about with E3, but to me it is that first day, once I got in, and then we went to the media room because we had about an hour or two, whatever, to spare before the doors opened for media. So we watched the Nintendo Direct there, and of course, I was high-fiving everybody from a certain moment that you'll probably get to later on when I'll explain why. And after when it was over, it was like, okay, start writing things up. Like I was on the floor outside the doors, the media inside, whatever, with a limited connection, trying to write up these stories for Pure Nintendo at this point. It got to like 3 minutes before the doors open that my editor-in-chief's like, hey, are we ready? Whatever. It's like, hey, non, I'm posting this right now. And I got it. And then it was bam, right there. And then walk in, get into appointments. And the first people I see when we're registering for appointments right now were the Game Explain guys. Ooh. All three right in front of me. And I saw them. And
did you notice them by looks or by voice initially?
Looks actually, because I did see, but I did hear their voice. I'm like, oh, that's Andre right there. And
an issue.
No, and this was the first bit of me where I'm like, I don't want to bother these people. I don't want to bother them because they're busy and such. And I get through that, and then they go on Twitter and they mention like it was great meeting fans, and I tweeted at Andre, I'm like, wow, I was so scared to actually say hi to you because I felt you were so busy right now, but now I regret that right now. And he says, he's like, oh, don't worry about that. Next time, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm like, all right, next year I'm going to do that. So I saw that. I saw him. I saw Gerard, the completionist that was sitting right next to me. I saw Maximilian Dude. who else? I saw Kit and Krista from Nintendo Minute that were next to me, which, by the way, I'll get into that right now because the last day, our meeting when we played Smash Brothers, and of course, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, there's a separate booth upstairs where all the private media can go in there. And I will tell you right now, that last day, and well, we actually did sneak in somebody else in there. The reason there was a guy that was from my friend Justin had met up with, and we this is how we snuck him in because they checked their badges, and he had a gamer pass, so that was like the public whatever. And I just Justin said to me, he's like, hey, you can come into this meeting, and he's like, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure we can get you in, whatever. And it was like fairly innocuous, but how do we do that? And I just took his media badge and I just flipped it on its opposite side and like just roll with it, and it was fine. It was just he just sat next to us and watched us play, and then we played a little bit more like Smash Brothers. But here's a moment to me that really left me a bit starstruck. Well, two instances. When we're in there and I'm seeing like Kit and Krista and all those people from Nintendo Minute, and walks past me, and I'm just like, and I just let it this whole thing. I'm like, oh dear. Yeah, but here's the best part, and I could not get photo evidence. I could not get photo evidences, but another one I did of a different person. As we're playing Smash Brothers, a hand reaches out to me on my shoulder or whatever and looks and I'm like, who the heck is this? And then I turn around. It was Shigeru Miyamoto.
Oh,
and he just walks past me, and I'm just going, come back. I know. But I out of all these things I did, whatever, I did get to meet several. I mean, again, it was like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory up there to me. I'm just like, is this really happening? I am next to people I love. And but I did get, and you probably also, so I did get a photo of Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, and to me, that was I thought I wasn't going to get it because he was kind of clearly tired during the day and such, whatever. But as soon as I asked him, like, hey, can I get a photo with you? And I was in line. He's like, yeah, totally. And he puts his hand around me, he does a thumbs up, and he does the Mario voice, and I just let a whole cheerful go, do it again. Took the photo, and
like, no, my voice is killing me.
No.
So I wonder how many requests he got to do Waluigi voices.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he probably did after knowing. I mean, did you hear people people have been harassing Masaru Sakurai because Waluigi's not going to be in Smash Brothers or as a character? I'm like, fans, grow up. But overall, my experience for this one, I really do wish I got to stay for the third day. And as exhausting as it was just awesome to relive like a dream to me. And knowing that my experiences, I've been through that, I will apply those to next year when I probably go. So, and it's just, I don't know, it's just amazing when you're realizing like, oh, wow, these people, I watch their content, there's stuff I like, things I adore. I was in the same room with them. Like, I mean, I saw Hideo Kojima off in the distance, whatever, when I walked past him. And, geez, it to me, I'm like, how is this possible? I'm just a guy that just like has a really low rent job, and I'm actually at a major video game convention, and I was just like, this is happening. But other than that, though, is there anything you want to ask me about my anything that you thought that was really well out of it?
I'm waiting for Lewis.
Sorry, one more.
What would you? Is there anything you want to ask me about? Like what?
Okay, yeah. I think the main thing that springs to mind is you mentioned about obviously you getting in as with the press pass, and you had at least a friend who got in just through the normal, the paid pass.
Mm-hmm.
Assume if you were to go next year, that'd probably be the press pass again. But knowing that you wouldn't get like those additional 3 hours, like on your own, would you still recommend if you could just go out and buy the normal pass itself?
If you really want to attend, yes, I'd say it's worth it. Just depending on your, knowing the travel for you from there, I'm just certain it would just be insane.
I think the travel for most people is going to be, considerable. But yeah, like if you're outside of America, it's going to be much more so as well.
Yeah. It's worth it to the time, whatever. But I would say go for the entire 3 days, whatever. It's for something like that, like it's just amazing to me, whatever, because like the meetings we were going back and forth between, whatever, it just that kind of takes an effect too, whatever. Because like you said, once the public came in, like my one game, okay, the 2 games that I really wanted to play there, like but that were non-Nintendo games, were Spider-Man and Kingdom Hearts 3. I did get to play Spider-Man on for PS4, and I will say though, yeah, I had a ton. It was a 20-minute demo, and I felt like Sony kind of had their stuff together because they had multiple stations up for this, whatever. Whereas, like when I went to go play Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, they had only 4 stations for that version and 4 stations for Pikachu.
Okay.
I waited in line for 2 hours to play Let's Go Eevee, but that was the shorter line. Everybody wanted the Pikachu line. I was like, I'm going to go with the Eevee line.
Yeah, the shorter line. Yeah, it's the same game.
It's yeah, but it's just whatever. I got to play as Pikachu either way, and I got my photo with 2 inflatable people playing as Pikachu and Eevee. And by the way, seeing those things like wander around the convention hall when they're being guided and seeing them try to get through small doors is hilarious. It really is. Yeah. Oh no, but
the vision from inside those things is absolutely terrible as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's to me when I just get to it, it's so very weird to me. But no, Spider-Man on PS4 was awesome. And then when I went to go to Kingdom Hearts, I had a meeting in about an hour and a half. Wait time was 2 hours, so I was like, nope, sorry, can't do that. So can't.
That is, yeah. So I guess one final question. Well, before we jump into our just breaking down what was shown, is what do you reckon the ratio was between like playing games and just doing other stuff at E3 and waiting in line to do the stuff?
Well, that's really hard for me to that's really hard for me to decipher like in total. That first day there was a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
Because one thing that Nintendo would do is like once you get into their booth, whatever, they kind of aside there was 3 separate lines, one for Pokemon and then there was for Smash. Okay. And the thing I was worrying is like, oh wow, I'm not going to get ticketed because they were giving out tickets, whatever, for things like this. And thankfully there was a standby line. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to wait like a long while for this. No, I waited 15 minutes in there, played it. And then I got back in line, waited 15 minutes, bam, in there because they had so many stations set up, whatever. Now, when you go wait in the other line for like Mario Tennis, you have to play that first before you go into the third party stuff and the indie stuff. And yeah, that was really strange for me, whatever. But again, I actually did enjoy Mario Tennis Aces though, because I did not get a chance to play the demo. So, but yeah, the ratio though, oh boy, I feel like it's split in like thirds. It's like there was a third of playing, third of wandering around, and a third of just waiting in line. You know, like between the planes and everything like that. But if you ever had the money, time, and place to stay over there, yeah,
a lot of things could also be money.
Money is an issue.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump straight into what Nintendo actually showed during their Nintendo Direct, which it was a Nintendo Direct this year. Obviously, you've had video presentations of some sort for the last few years now. I believe it's the first time they actually just straight out and called it a Direct.
Yeah, in a while, I think.
The first time it was like a Nintendo digital event.
Visual event, yeah. This is just purely
maybe slightly since then. But yeah, no, it was Nintendo Direct E3 2018.
Yep.
However, the format was mostly the same, I would say.
Yeah.
More or less. Well, I guess I can see why it was maybe a little bit more directy. We're going to start just kind of in the order that they announced things. And the very first thing they showed, before even like an introduction or any sort of context, we had a video of this mech game, which was latest, once the video ended, we knew what the title of it at least was called, which is Demon X Machina.
And not Damon X Machina, like no. I had said for the past week until I got corrected because I do not watch a lot of anime. Apparently I'm told I don't watch a lot of mech anime, and I'm like, oh, no, I do.
I don't watch enough mech anime. I do watch mech anime though. This is developed by First Studio and Marvelous, and it is due 2019. It was a fair length trailer. I think it was like a couple minutes or so.
Yeah. It looks really good. Really good.
Cool, yeah. It is actually being published by Nintendo, I believe.
Oh, nice. Yeah. This might give away a little bit of how I feel about the show, but for me, this is like pretty much the highlights of the show. This game was incredible to me.
Mechs have that power.
A very, it's going for a very particular style and such. But it sounds like, if you're into mechs, as it were, you should have a blast of this game. And it's got like a really like bold style to it as well.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky one, really, because it's going to be for that niche market. But it looks like it's very well done. I don't know much on the background on this, but apparently there are some like names associated with this project, which are quite big in terms of just the mech scene in general, in terms of anime and manga and so on. And so it sounds like this game has a bit of cred behind it, which is interesting in itself. So I'm very much looking forward to this and more information. I mean, I also believe this is a exclusive.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Which it doesn't seem like a typical like Nintendo exclusive, which is also quite cool in itself. It's like very.
It was just really cool that they opened up with like a surprise game. Well, we didn't know about it beforehand, and it's just like, hey, it looks really good. Yeah, it's really well made. So I
thought it was a cool way to start the show, really, because I mean, it's definitely got attitude. Like it kicks off with. I can't remember what type of music it was now.
It's very heavy metal type of thing.
It just blasts off heavy metal. It was like, whoa, this is
It's like, what is this?
A bit of a welcome, isn't it?
It's cool.
It's cool. And so we jumped straight into like mechs to anime. We jumped straight into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. Torna, the Golden Country. And this is so we got a story trailer for this.
Yeah.
And this is it's a lot bigger than I was expecting. And
it's actually going to get a physical release too.
Yeah,
that is correct. And like I find that strange, but in a good way, as it were, because like this is part of the current existing season pass, which is I'm not sure the exact price, but I think it's about like typically like half of what you would pay for a regular game.
I think it's $30 or $40. I don't quote me on that, but
I think it's on the $30 end in dollars. But they've already added a lot of stuff to that season pass. Although maybe some of that is just like free DLC and it's not actually part of the pass as it were. But they have been supporting Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with quite a lot of DLC actually. From like the new game plus to just new blades, to just new tweaks to the actual mechanics.
They did do new blade. Well, I have not finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I really need to get back on that right now. But one of the blades they did introduce were Shulk and Fiora.
Oh,
so
I'm not sure if they're being handled as blades, but they're definitely making an appearance now, which is cool. But yeah, this is a prequel, and so it's I guess partly why it could be available as a standalone thing. And so it is standalone. You don't have to play through the game first. So from my understanding, it won't actually carry over anything.
Yeah,
seems like it. A different set of characters, doing the events which happened earlier on. And so you're going to be on a Titan you've not played as, or played on, I should say, in the game. And so this looks pretty significant. I thought the trailer was pretty cool for this, even though it's just DLC as it were. What do you guys think? Did you have much interest in this, or was it a bit more? Show a new game.
I'm glad it actually got a little bit of a showing on there because I feel like given Xenoblade Chronicles 2's like success that it had from being a niche franchise, whatever, from when it was released in December, and how it definitely did pretty well financially. I'm just glad that they're still putting out some quality content to this, and it's just not a very from looks of it they're not skimping on when it comes to this story expansion.
I was very happy with it. It looked great. The physical release aspect of it did kind of like I was like, huh, that is fairly unique. Not many DLCs get a physical release, so it's kind of like getting a little mini extra.
Well. This isn't the full season pass. This is part of the season pass.
So you better buy the whole season pass as a physical game. If that makes sense. But it's quite interesting. It seems like it's going to be fairly sizable. Like it's like a huge chunk expansion. So
for something that warrants like a physical edition too.
So it's cool. I was actually very happy with it.
All right. Next one is one which was heavily rumored.
Rumored? You mean the worst kept secret probably possible?
Basically, yeah. And so Fortnite was next. Surprising no one really. And like with the leak / rumors, it was shadow dropped. And so it was not only revealed to be on the Switch, but it was coming later that day.
Yep.
Obviously, due to nature of the game, free download. The Switch version, at least it was confirmed, it would, well, the fact its existence was confirmed, one. And two, it is just the Battle Royale mode. It's not like the original main mode was. Although, to be fair, most people don't care about it anyway. And so I guess the slight benefit of that is if you don't care about that original Save the World mode and you just want your Battle Royale, it's a smaller download size because of that, because that's all you're getting. So, I mean, I actually have downloaded it. I mean, it's a free game. I had played it before. Have you or Colin played Fortnite?
I have seen Colin. I did see Colin. He was streaming that. I did not download it yet, but I did play a little bit of E3. And while it's a game that I'm really glad is on the Switch right now, because that definitely has that bit of audience out there. Plus, it what was it, like in its first day or so, it sold like it was downloaded like 2 million times on Switch.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah, but I just no, I just never, for some reason I just couldn't get into Fortnite. Maybe I just need to actually put a little bit more time into it right there. It just like even the 20 minutes I had there, I was like, I don't know, I just was not feeling the whole battle royale like things that got to it, whatever. But
I can understand. It's a very genre. It's a weird genre of games because as a solo experience, it's really not that much fun. It's fine. It's as good as it's going to get, really. But as a multiplayer game, it is incredible. And this game, like, I discovered something about the Switch I never knew before. In that, if you plug a USB headset into one of the USB slots on the actual dock, it works as a headset.
Yeah, I forgot that you could do voice chat in game.
Yeah, so the voice chat is awesome. It really works well. That's really cool. Yeah, so I played heavily on the Switch version. Runs silky smooth. In fact, even portable mode and in docks. In portable, it actually runs. It feels like it runs even slightly better.
I did hear it does look a lot better in portable mode. Because the version I think they are using is the it is the PC version, not the mobile, but it's like PC with mid to low settings.
Mid to low settings. The game looks fine. It runs at very, very smooth frame rate, no bumps or anything. Yeah, I've had no issues with it, and it's a free game. You can't really complain, really. It's a good experience.
So, Colin, apologies if I didn't catch it. Had you played Fortnite before the Switch version?
Yes, I had played it fairly extensively on PS4, which caused its own little scandal. There was a little bit of a dubious thing.
Did you find out about that issue beforehand, or when you tried to play it first?
It's when I tried to transfer my account from PS4 to Switch.
Talk us through
okay
that emotional state.
Right, so
what the issue is, as it were.
So Fortnite as a game is very open. It's a very open game in that it does cross-play across everything. You can do PC against Xbox, against PS4, and now you can do Switch.
But you did mention though that apparently, PS4 owners who create Fortnite account.
So here's the thing: if you created your Fortnite account on PS4, Sony have blocked your ability to transfer that to the Xbox or Switch. You can transfer it to a PC copy of the game, but you can't transfer it to Xbox or Switch, which baffles me. The fact that they're stopping it, it's on their end. The Epic Games before said, "Look, we're trying to make it work," but they basically said no. So yeah, I had to create a whole new account, which means you lose all progress that I made on the PS4 version.
Yeah.
So
had you chucked any money into the PS4 version?
I had brought the thing you could buy called the Battle Pass, which lasts for a season. A season is like 63 days, I believe, and it lasts the entire season, and it gives you basically just bonuses every time you play a game, and it basically ends up paying for itself, which is rather nice. But yeah, decided to buy a new Battle Pass, and I'm like,
oh, so you did.
Yes, I dropped. It wasn't expensive, but yeah, I brought the Battle Pass again on Switch, and I'm just like, because I had because you can earn the in-game currency is called V-Bucks, and you can earn free V-Bucks by playing the game, basically. And I earned quite a lot of free V-Bucks on the PS4 version, which are now just going to sit there and do nothing. So
that's a shame. In terms of general comparison between like what you play on the PS4 and you play on the Switch,
more or less identical. More or less identical. I feel, for me personally, I like the Switch Joy-Con. This doesn't sound crazy, but I like the Switch Joy-Con controller more than the PS4 controller. So for me, it controls better on Switch.
Okay.
So,
I think with I think what I had to handle of it was the Pro controller, which was a little bit comfortable, but I can definitely see with the Switch controller being a little bit more comfortable and such on there. But when it comes back to the whole debate, of doing this crossplay between PS4 owners and the rest of everybody else, is that I forgot what was Sony mentioned something. I was like, oh, it's about money right now. And it's like, is that just saying like we're on top of the throne and we're not going to do something about that?
We can bully people. Yeah.
No, it's the same thing with it's the same thing we got with like a deal with the Rocket League, whatever. Yeah. And if Nintendo was in the same, if it was Nintendo doing this situation, I'd be saying the same things right now. I'm like, you know what? Allow us to play, with everybody else.
Yeah, of course.
This whole thing with you having to reset your account, that just to me just felt like really unneeded.
Yeah, it's actually quite refreshing that it's not Nintendo for once being backwards with their internet policies. I just want to put that out there.
This is true.
It's quite nice. It's like, like Nintendo's and Microsoft, tweeting each other, going, "Oh yeah, let's play some Fortnite."
Yeah.
And it's Sony which is kind of left out of the cold, and not like people laughing at a tangled spaghetti mess of a headset which has like Splatoon marketing material over it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So does the USB headset not work with Splatoon?
Not if you just plug it up direct.
Why though?
Well, that's the thing. Like, so the hardware does support it, but that's on a game by game basis, which like Nintendo's clearly like stated, like through their intentions of having a paid service, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to have this unified thing, and for whatever reason, that's going to the mobile.
Weird.
It works. But I guess the good news is, I imagine like Monster Hunter will be the same. I imagine you would just be able to plug a headset into that.
Well, the interesting thing is the 3DS doesn't have voice chat, so
but I mean, previous Nintendo Monster Hunter games have. So
one. One has.
Was it just a Wii U edition of?
The Wii U version one had voice chat. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So a Nintendo Monster Hunter game has had voice chat. So it's not unprecedented.
The 3DS version didn't even have. Well, the 3DS didn't have it online. You couldn't go online on the 3DS version. So
actually, I think it would have really backwards Nintendo, or actually maybe more of a Capcom way. You could by using the an app on the Wii U.
Yes. Ridiculous.
That me and a friend used that setup once.
Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
I think the save buying an extra version of the game. I think it was. I can't remember why.
At that point, you might just bite the bullet and buy the extra version.
Well, I mean, it's cumbersome, but it was free, and it worked technically, sort of thing.
To
make a habit of it. Anyway, there's lots of E3 goodness to go through. So after Fortnite, we had a new Nintendo game announced. Super Mario Party was revealed. It's being released the 8th of October. They showed off some new kind of like gimmicks as such, where you can in like a tabletop mode, you can put multiple switches together, and it will use like the physical layout of where the switches are and the screens, so you become like the play area by swiping across the screens.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
But yeah, there's also like a traditional Mario Party like actual board game behind it where you're not in a car.
They've gone back to the old style.
It looks traditional.
But here's the issue I have. The trailer they had for it, the people in that video are the worst at imitating playing a video game. Because
it was a lot of like weird innuendo in that Mario Party trailer. It might have been that's
Yeah, it's like where's this going? It was
what do we think?
No online play still sucks.
Well, there is online. No, there is still online, but there's a caveat to it. The online presented is a standalone mode called Online Mariothon. And this will give players, from what I'm reading, it's going to give players like to compete in 5 randomly selected minigames aiming to get the highest score. And it's like kind of like minigame decathlon that we saw like in Mario Party 5.
That's not what people big ball games online.
People want 50 turns. Mario Party.
Marathons. That's what we want.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tiny step, but I do wish the full experience was coming to it. But the way that they're implementing like things, like if you have somebody else with an extra like switch around the room and they have the copy of the game, and I feel like that could add something new to how these games are being played. I mean, when you were setting them on the tape, I think that's what it kind of. We're seeing things that we saw in that first initial Switch trailer from back in 2016, where they're kind of like doing things that I don't know. I feel like that's going to be something that could be really, really expanded on pretty widely.
Oh, definitely. I mean, personally, I thought this was quite a good showing for Mario Party. Like, I mean,
I didn't mind it.
The last quite a few, really, haven't been the best. I'm not saying they've been terrible. I think the last two in particular haven't been great.
No, I can agree on that.
For me, I mean, I like that traditional style, and that was just not quite what I was looking for. But this has to be returned to form if that's what you're after.
Yeah, it is. But it's just like, to me, I like to play with people. It's like, it has to be like, it has to be local.
That was the big down. It just felt, oh no.
Like I know people who like Mario Party, but they don't live near me. So
you need a party, Colin. You need a party.
You gotta have a party. Come on, just have people over.
I'm gonna throw a party just to play Mario Party. That's the worst party of all time.
We'll put out the invite to the party at the end of the episode.
RSVP.
Okay, and after Super Mario Party, we had not a new announcement, but we had the first footage and first details of the true Fire Emblem game for the Switch. Ooh. So Fire Emblem Three Houses was shown off in a full trailer. We didn't really have any other context around it. There's no discussion, but we had this trailer. Looks a little bit different, a little bit similar. I want to kind of gauge the temperature of the room on this. What do we think of this? Because I think it was a slightly different direction for Fire Emblem, not massively.
It's a little early to tell. I mean, knowing this is it's supposed to be spring 2019 is when it's going to be. So from anywhere up till like a year from now. Yeah. I do hope that this is because Fire Emblem has been riding on quite a bit of a high since like 2012, 2013, and I do kind of hope that they do what they did with Echo with Shadows of Valentia and actually add some new things to it, whether it's dungeons, but things we saw from this one is that when it comes to the battlefield, it's not just one single force, but you have like 10, 15 other forces behind you, just to show in the middle of the battle.
You have like a little squad, a little legion of people with you when you do battle, which is a nice little touch. I quite like it.
It's always a bit Advance Warsy.
We'll go for that,
but say as in, like on the map you see a little person and then he goes into battle and then like a whole squad appears.
I see what you mean. Yeah. I mean,
but it was obviously a much more smoother transition. I mean, saying that, it's very dangerous. I probably had the same moment on a podcast before. It's like, imagine that sort of style. It has an Advance Wars game, and so you see the little guy on the map, and then it does that smooth transition in, and it's like a big army or a big squad just like rolling out.
That's pretty much what it does.
Or whatever. Yeah.
So
cool. It was like, I feel there's a slightly different like art style being involved in terms of like the character portraits and such, and especially like the menu design, things like that. I feel looked quite different to like what we've seen from Fire Emblem on the 3DS games of recent. And I'll be honest, I wasn't like instantly like, oh wow, this is new, the next step. I think it's going to take a little bit for me to like become like familiar again with this kind of new type of the menus and how the portraits look and all that sort of stuff. But I'm definitely a Fire Emblem guy, so I'm going to remain optimistic. There's nothing there which I didn't necessarily like. I thought it was going to be something a slightly different direction. Oddly, I was just honestly thinking it was just going to be like the 3DS games, but like just higher resolution sort of thing.
Yeah.
But no, this is different, which is cool.
Yeah. I know still enough probably to see where this is going to probably go a little bit. I know there are some concerns about how this kind of just looks bland at times or just hasn't really been adding anything to me, but I don't know. Well, we'll see what it is in 12 months though. I mean, This was one of my things I was expected to see probably announced, and was hopeful it was going to get released in 2018, but 2019, I'm fine with it.
The delay is a bit of it's kind of an irritant, really, because it's like, oh, come on. Like, Yeah. Calibration of E3 in general as well. There was a lot of 2019. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah, they did. Like, this is. I think I mentioned this in the last show. Like, if this was to get delayed out of 2018, it would have been the first of those initial announcements to get delayed beyond their original date.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is what's turned out to happen.
Yeah, they got out of the way. That's a good thing. They haven't been like, oh, it's still coming, and it's like, no, it's not.
That's true. Like, if they didn't even mention the date, sort of thing, it just kept us wondering. But no, yeah, like it looks cool. I reckon we'll see just a full-on story trailer. Not necessarily in super far away, maybe even this year still. And I think that will put it in a bit of a different light. I think just kind of adding some more context to what's going on, what these battles are, who are these characters, why do we care about them and such. I think that might make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so next, after Fire Emblem, they moved over to some more Octopath Travelers. Octopath Traveler, even. They announced there's a new demo, which is... sorry, is this the demo which came out? Comes out on July 13th?
No,
the demo's already out.
The demo is out now. The
demo's out.
Yeah,
demo's out.
Yeah, there's a new demo out now. I believe it's essentially the full game, but you have 3 hours to play.
Right.
And any progress you make is transferred over to the full game.
Those are the kind of demos I do like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I've actually played a demo which is quite like that. I quite like, it's the same team, like how Bravely Default does it, for example, where it gives you a side story, and then you can, depending on how well you're doing it, you bring over certain things.
Yeah, it's really cool.
There's no overlap, but there's no overlap in this either, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I feel like it's a really good system, this, but it's just in the kind of the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, if I've got the full game and it's just going to let me play the 3 hours, it just feels a bit like it's taking it away from me.
Wait till the game comes out. Yeah, for me, it's kind of I'll play a demo, but nearer the time of release.
Yeah,
so I can keep that momentum going rather than start playing and be like, and then be like, drop back into it, and be like, what's it doing? Had that. You kind of lose traction. So, yeah.
Okay. And then after Octopath Traveler, we had a bunch of different games through a couple of systems.
One thing I did want to add about Octopath Traveler, developers did mention that there would not be DLC for a DLC, but they say because I think they said they were shipping a finished product.
Which is good.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like DLC more to it, but if they're saying hey, this is a finished, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
This is a complete story sort of thing. We're not going to just bolt things to it.
We're not going to carve a bit of the game off and then send it to you later.
Yeah.
Good.
Ninth Traveler's Tales. But yeah, so we had after this point, it went very quick pace for a bit, and so we've got a big list of games here. We're not going through them all. But anything which kind of catches your mind, there's one I want to talk about.
Oh,
shall I jump straight to that, and you guys can think of some things you want to talk about? And so this wasn't actually during the presentation itself, I don't believe, but it was during E3. And this is they essentially shadow dropped the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. I think it was for the next day. I think it was on the Tuesday they announced it for the Wednesday, possibly. But either way, they announced it and it came out very soon after. And so I have played a bunch of it now. In fact, I've seen the credits. There's still loads to do because of the way it's kind of laid out. It's this subway system with these interconnected routes.
Yeah.
And so you only have to do so many to complete what you need to complete to go to the next part, as it were. And so I can definitely return. There's loads of missions for me to do, and there's a few different ways to do them to get different rewards as well. But what I really like is it feels completely different to the normal single player. Feels different to all the other modes in Splatoon 2, and it does feel like its own game. Really, I feel like they could have just sold this as a standalone thing because it does tell like a weird story in its own right, which is a bit different to the rest of the game. And it does have like its very own distinct vibe to it. But it's not only do you have this like non-linear progression in terms of which levels you choose to do, but it's done in like an in-game currency system where you have to pay to try to do the level, and if you fail, you have to pay again to continue. Okay. And the different like stages will cost different amounts to try. And so like if you get to a point like down one line where it's really tough and it's expensive, you can like start trying different paths because they are interconnected. You can like work your way in a general direction without having to complete these set levels, and so it's a nice flexibility to it in terms of its design. And it also kind of goes a bit bonkers in places, which is brilliant. Like even for Splatoon,
it goes crazy.
It does some anime stuff in there, without saying too much. Made me smile a lot. But the actual levels themselves, they are very varied. Lots of just like mechanics which haven't been touched anywhere in any parts of the different modes of the game so far. And they'll just make this real dedicated stage, which it teaches you the concept. It makes it pushes you along by doing like slightly more difficult tasks. And like a bunch of these levels feel like Mario Galaxy levels in a weird way. Really well done. I won't talk much more about it now, but I just want to say, like, if you've got Splatoon 2, do check out the Octo expansion. Because it does, like, to pardon the pun, it does feel fresh. Like, it doesn't even just feel like more Splatoon. It does feel like its own thing as well. It is very cool.
That's definitely on my pick on there. Now as far as things we were shown on here, I'll just talk on one brief Sushi Striker Way Sushido. I've only played about 30 minutes of this right now, and boy, is it so much fun right now. Also, its presentation is a little bit better on the Switch, but I can definitely see why some people have been preferring to play this on the 3DS because using even in docked mode, whatever it is, gets a little bit tricky using basically like trying to align different plates of sushi, whatever that you use at your arsenal, without the use of with a stylus. And I'm seeing myself do that more, whatever, on my gamepad without it on my Switch, touchscrreen, whatever, when it's undocked to me. But half the time I'm like, I don't want to ruin this screen really that badly. But there is an assist mode to it, so that does on there. Another game on there that I was played. I did get to play Mega Man 11.
Oh, nice.
How'd you play?
Silky smooth, well, and
was it like Mega Man?
It's Mega Man, still hard, and I have my notes here, whatever, to me, if I can actually do it on there, but the double gear mode, which actually functions as two different abilities, one to slow down time and one to increase your and to basically buff your abilities, whether it's your Mega Buster. And while that type of gimmick the stage we played was Blockman's, I feel like that whole ability might have been abused to a point, but it's actually quite helpful when you're actually going through waves of enemies and projectiles, whatever, just a slow time just to kind of get through. And it helps out during boss battles, which are just not one-trick ponies. I mean, you're going to see, for in one instance, Blockman's just as a regular old robot master, and the next thing you know it, he increases to like 5 times his size, and then you got to fight him. Yeah, you got to fight him in phases. So there's that. Cool. What else did I play? I did play Dragon Ball Fighter Z. If you're a fan of Marvel vs. Capcom and the way that how it goes with different characters, I think you're going to enjoy this, and it presents itself really well. Mario Tennis Aces, I did get a chance to play a little bit there, and I am kind of convinced that I might pick this one up. I might.
Nice.
By time.
I know they played the Wii U one after it got fairly negative reception.
Fairly negative. It rightfully panned. That thing was just unfinished.
Unfinished. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I want golf. Honestly, I want golf. I like my golf.
You want golf?
Golf.
You want golf? We'll get golf soon.
Okay. Soon. I hope so. I was kind of hoping golf would show up. Like, oh, by the way, here's tennis. Oh, now we're going to golf. That's probably loads of money for that.
Next year.
Next year.
Yeah. But what were the other games?
I won't be surprised if it is shot next year.
Next January, it'll be announced.
That's very specific.
I think it could be. I don't know.
It was a bit specific, wasn't it?
I was thankful that they did say that The World Ends With You, the HD final remix for this, is actually going to be releasing this fall, so that's nice to know. Fallout Shelter, that I think was it the mobile game that was from last year that's coming to the Switch. So
I have played it on Switch.
That was another Shadow Drop. So that was actually announced in the Bethesda, and they announced it for Switch, like, and it's available now, sort of thing, or it's available later in the day. And so free download.
Hollow Knight got Shadow Drop too, finally.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and another great. I mean, it was a good showing, but obviously we know that was a good-looking game anyway. But yeah, announced for the same day. Really cool.
A game that I did not get a chance to play, but my friend Justin did get to play on the showroom floor. That's a bitch on top of here is Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is put out by Ubisoft. I did not. I was way too much far too in line to play before the showroom closed that first day. And essentially, though, there's like a setup that you have like a controller that you put like the Joy-Cons in, or something that attaches to the Joy-Con grip, and it's a kind of a toys to life type of thing where you're just kind of constructing your own little vehicle here. And of course, there's a Star Fox crossover content to it, so there's that. From what I saw, it looked really nice, and I just hope the story content's really well done. So that comes out, I think.
That's one I'm still uncertain of. I'm not sure why. But I'm not quite sold on Starlink yet.
You get little great little things, though, Lewis. That's like your favorite thing.
Well, that's the other question. Like, I'm completely disinterested in that part of the game.
Who are you? What have you done with Lewis?
This is odd.
But it's not. I mean, it's not like I've got some amiibos, but I don't have like any Skylanders or the Disney Infinities, or was there another or the Lego Dimensions? I've never tried any of those things. Just like Nintendo figurines, basically. I think they've come out and said that you don't need them. I could be wrong on that. I think it was very mixed last year. There's probably a lot more information out there now. Although probably not enough. I still feel there's a little bit of a mystery in terms of like how deep or not you need to go down to enjoy Starlink.
It definitely looked good. Like the game graphically, it looked good. So
it looked fun to play in that sense. So that's the divide I'm at. Like, it looks like a fun space game, you know? But yeah, I don't want to build an entire toy thing just for it.
It looks like something that could probably tide people over, whether they're disappointed with Star Fox Zero or they just need their next fix with it.
Yeah.
So
cool. Should we any other games you want to talk about, or should we jump straight to
the nothing else really springs to mind for me. I mean, Monster Hunter got a shout out. Yay!
It is, yeah.
That's it.
Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Dragon Ball. Oh, I did see that Just Dance 2019, and I did see this. Okay, Ubisoft is putting out a Wii release, not Wii U, a Wii release of the game,
and a Wii U.
Yeah, and a Wii U, not just Wii U, a Wii version.
It's impressive. I mean, the Wii one will probably outsell the Wii U version.
This has to be like the last. Oh yeah, easily. Of course, the Wii version will.
Will it be the last? Are you gonna? Is that your?
I think this is the last Wii game ever made.
You reckon FIFA? Not FIFA. You reckon Just Dance 2019 will be the last Wii game? Why 2019?
Just cause, really.
Just cause.
Just cause.
Is that also going to Switch?
I'm trying to win it to happen.
Oh, fair enough. So will there be a 2020 Just Dance on the Wii U?
No.
No, yeah, they cut them off.
If they're not going to do it for Wii, they're sure as heck going to do it for Wii.
I reckon it might be the opposite. I reckon next year there will be a 2020 on the Wii, but not on the Wii.
Oh, possibly.
We shall see.
Something's getting dropped either way, so yeah.
Was this the first announcement for Carcassonne on the Switch?
It might have been. It completely flew by me. I was like, oh, it looks okay. No time given to it, so I wasn't interested.
That's fair enough. It is what it is. All right, let's jump to the biggie. And so the last 20 minutes was it? Was it 15 minutes?
It was 25 minutes.
25 long minutes.
Oh, 25 dedicated.
Yes.
Okay. Before we get in there is I like the information that they give, which is now what is the title now to tell to our audience that everybody knows?
Oh, it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Ultimate. There we go. I was
So it's the final one.
well,
one.
That's what Ultimate means.
They get worse from here on, Colin.
well, there's always infinite. There's infinite. There's infinite. There's the infinite version. No. I okay. I think this really kind of goes on to base on what we thought of Nintendo's overall presence during this direct, whether it's just cutting out all the treehouse stuff, whatever. I thought it was just perfectly kind of middle of the road type of things. There were definitely some things I really wish that could have been shown, but I'll get to the end of that. But there's definitely some point where I feel like I like this information that they're kind of giving out for right now out of the way, just like, hey, all this is, but there can definitely be some point where you're like, is this too much Smash Bros or not? But again, but they did clearly state in their language of their E3 presser when they announced this that this was going to be dedicated, a good portion where this is going to be dedicated to Smash Brothers. So there might have been some things I wish they shown, but obviously we have until December 7th, which I'm surprised is And by the way, I had mentioned this pre-show. There were several people that I follow who are from Britain that thought this was coming out next month because you guys have the day coming first, whatever, in your calendars. So,
Yep.
But where to start on Smash Brothers Ultimate?
I think where we start is like, I mean, we can truncate this down. Like, we don't need to spend 25 minutes telling you what it was.
No,
the messaging was much more simpler, really. So, like, the first big chunk of it was them telling you that every character who has ever been in a Super Smash Bros. Game is going to be an Ultimate.
They spent 10 minutes on that. I couldn't believe it. Just say like, in one
10
line.
seconds, that's all it took, including Solid Snake. There you go.
Yeah, it could have been taken that a little on there, but I think it was the thing is that's a selling point to whatever. Sure.
Is it though?
No, it's a selling point.
That's a huge selling point for people who really
like it's a big selling point, yeah. It's just that wasn't the right messaging for it. But yeah, I think the fact that Snake's in it, the fact that, like, no character left behind sort of attitude. We've got Ice Climbers, we've got Pichu, we've got the lot. We've got Young, we've got Toon Link. It doesn't matter what your favorite was, it's in it.
I did see a certain popular Nintendo streamer destroy his shelf when they saw that Snake was coming back, and I don't know, that video is posted somewhere on there. I was just like, wow, the guy actually destroyed his shelf because Snake is back. That's good. Huh.
One of the worst Smash characters, at least in my opinion, and these. I don't know. I was never a fan of Snake in Smash. He kind of fell out of place. But
we get new codec conversations for all these new characters.
Ooh, this is true.
And David Hayer is doing the voice, which is
he is correct.
Intriguing.
I mean, who else was gonna do it?
Exactly.
Well,
I don't know. I think though that's like, what does this mean for, like, obviously there's new characters coming into aside from they did Sakurai did rebrand the idea of clone characters now as Echo characters. So that's why we have Daisy now. We have Daisy, but she's an Echo character, which is basically it's just a body palette swap, whatever. It's just the same thing, but
why not just make it an alternate costume at that point?
Well, I think because it is slightly different. I think because it's not just a palette swap. Because like how you have how Dark Pit is now an Echo Fire.
Yeah.
Whereas
even though
they're very, very similar, but they're not identical in terms of how they play. Like there's a slight different like weight and speed to them, sort of thing, and like that applies here. So it's not literally just cosmetic. Like they will feel slightly differently.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like how when we saw with Ganondorf and Captain Falcon and Melee. It's the same thing, but they're just one slower.
Yeah.
But in the case though for this that I well, from what I was reading online, okay, this is definitely one thing I asked when I played this game. Is this a port or a brand new game? No, this is technically a brand new game built from the ground up. Now, from things that come from a Sakurai interview, he this is information I'm getting right now from Source Gaming. This is when they translated everything from a Sakurai interview in one of his columns. A couple things to note. They had a choice between completely overhauling the game system or work off of what they had established in the last game. But they ended up going with the latter because if they had gone with the former, the roster would have probably ended up being like 1/3 the size. So that was
by my definition, I would say this is an enhanced port because it's based on something that's existed before.
Well, it's a different. I mean,
I think we're going to run in circles of semantics here.
Yeah,
it's semantics or not, it's an enhanced port. That's what it is.
Well, I don't know, Colin.
That could be it's a feature in its own right.
From what I played, that was when I played on there and what I felt on there. That was like, this is not a port. This is a brand new game.
It also depends, like how much content do you need to add for it not to be a port? Like, because the engine's the same sort of thing, and like the play style for the characters are like, surely at a point you chuck enough stuff at it, and it makes it new. Make changes, as it were, that it does become a new follow-up. Anyway, regardless of what it is in that sense, like, I mean, I just want to talk about Echo characters for a moment, because they only announced one new Echo character, and I feel the fact that they've given it a whole term means there's going to be some more of them.
There's going to be a whole bunch of them.
There are, but this is the same interview that I did read from Sakurai, is that the project plan for this game was finished in December 2015 when DLC for the previous game was being developed. So does that mean, like, for instance, okay,
that means no arms probably.
Yeah, but unless they're DLC. That's where I feel like they'd be crazy not to be doing DLC after this game's released.
That is true.
So possibly Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X, maybe Rex and Pyra, depending, maybe a Fire Emblem character, or maybe I don't know. There's a lot to me. Whatever. I've heard people suggest that Dark Samus could be in there, but as an Echo Fighter, and I was thinking, like, you know what? There's enough for that character that you can actually put a unique moveset where it's just not. Absolutely. Yeah. But
with Octolings as an ever Echo Fighter, even though you've got 8 different Squidlings to choose from.
It could. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. I also
reckon we'll have a bunch of different Echo Fighters now, just because it is a new model and like tweak to the moveset.
I had to ask though. They didn't brand Dr. Mario, or they didn't brand Dr. Mario as an Echo Fighter or any of the new links. Which by the way. That found out, but also, can I talk about like Zelda right now? I am glad they redesigned her. I am so happy they did that, because I am tired of I'm tired of the Twilight Princess designs.
Yeah, and in the same, I really like Ganondorf's design going back to the Ocarina design.
Yeah, and he now uses his sword. So,
and he transforms into the cool Ganon.
Yeah.
No. I when I did play with this alone there, I did notice this game was a little bit faster. I did know, and I noticed that some knockback that you get from it, which is basically if I'm butchering this right now, basically it's like when you're hit, essentially you're launched faster, but once you kind of go to your descent, whatever, you go a little. That's been increased, as in like the slow, how slow you were able to fall down. If I can actually, what was it? There, I'm just looking at these. Oh yeah, it's called knockback speed. Knockback speed has been increased, so that's what I would say. No, I overall, like, given the semantics of whether it's like enhanced port or new game, whatever, there are clearly some major differences in this. Whether you go from the backgrounds to the foregrounds to the details of like these characters on here. I mean, as we've probably seen, it's just a definitely cleaner experience that we're probably seeing with this one right now. And this is we're about, again, 6 months away from this being released. So, one thing I want to discuss though is the elephant in the room, and of course, it's that one major character that got unveiled that finally I get on there.
And I want to go back to something Harrison said at the beginning of the show about the Waluigi thing. Yeah. So Waluigi, Aaron says, I don't want to call him paraphrase you exactly. I can't remember exactly, but he basically said like, it's tough luck that Waluigi's not in the game. Ridley's in the game, so people complained relentlessly that Ridley was not in the previous Smash Bros. Games. Now he is.
New target.
Say what?
We need a new target. It can never be satisfied, Colin.
Yeah.
So you're saying Waluigi is going to be in the next Smash Bros?
Well, there's a possibility.
Next Smash Bros?
Or he could be in this one. But again, like I said, there were people harassing Sakurai online with this, which is uncalled for. Now, this one, though, I was just, okay, this was just, I was not expecting. I was kind of like half and half thinking, like, I think it's the whole size thing with Ridley that everybody was going to get onto it. And I feel like they would maybe, when it comes to Metroid representation in Smash, they'd go the route of, like, I don't know, maybe either one of the hunters from like from Metroid Prime Hunters, or
they're not well known. That's the issue.
But yeah, it's just when I said that trailer was great. Which, by the way,
it was brutal.
I'm guessing. Okay, Mario is dead.
Mario's dead.
Mario's dead, Mega Man's dead, all that, and I just
Everyone's
like that.
dead.
I just like the look of Samus in the trailer where she's turned around to size and like, what now? And it's like I've dealt with this for so long. And from what I play, and like when that was announced, like I said, I was high-fiving everybody in the media room, saying like, "Let's go, let's go! I want to play this right now." And of course, I did get some time playing with Ridley, and he's surprisingly brutal, and I say that in a good way. I mean, whether one of his various smash moves that he does is like when he just whips out his tail, which kind of just is almost a death blow to you, where it could just be, depending on how well you time it, can either just knock you very far out of the stage or just basically just kill you right there, and then you're just done with a stock. So a lot of the moves that basically he's been performing on there, and of course, how he looks on there, it's like, I guess the thing they compromise for him, whatever, is they just make him crouch, so to make him, that's what they do on there. And also, I do like the design they had with him, whatever, because I did.
He can stand up, can't he? Or is that like his crouch? Oddly, I'm sure it's a Treehouse stream where they got him standing. They didn't walk around with him like it. But he was massive.
Yeah, he's pretty big. I think it's his wingspan, though. I think that's what they kind of compromise a little bit on more. So,
but
the design works, though.
No, he works, and I do like how his final smash is basically it's just using plasma breath or whatever it is, and shoots you on the side of Samus's gunship and just blows you up with inside it. I'm like, you know what, that's one thing I'd really like on there.
It's pretty fun.
No, this is
kind of like noticing, or like the vibe I was getting from this was, I feel they're paying more attention to the competitive scene for the first time.
Easily with this one.
Like just a lot of the changes they were talking about, like everything from the speed increase to some of the changes just being like almost like painstakingly just to that competitive scene. Like, yes, we've heard you. We're changing this thing about Ryu.
Or we can make it more like Melee.
Well, yeah, like essentially. But like in every stage now, not only has a Final Destination arena, but has a Battlefield one as well.
Right.
And like the amount of returning stages is ridiculous as well. I think we're in the 70s or something silly.
Something like that, but they also they're bringing some of the 3DS stages to it.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
The two stages I did get to play, the new ones, was what's the name of the
Moray Towers?
Moray Towers, and one of the towers in Breath of the Wild, which I thought was a little too small, but I could see why that there's a breakable. It's almost like a Final Destination-esque like level, but with a breakable portion of the top of the towers that you see from Breath of the Wild.
Kind of like Luigi's Mansion.
A little bit, but smaller. I did like the Inkling though. They're a lot of fun to play. One thing I really did, another thing, a detail that Sakurai did mention on there is that when it comes to unlocking characters, so they're going to start it out with the original 12, and then you just work your way up to whether it's 70 other characters, like the 70 total. So I like that, I really do, but I also hope it's not like play 10 matches and unlock this character. I want conditions to be made, like, hey, finish all-star mode with, like, if you had to unlock like Ridley, you had to unlock you had to go through like all-star mode or this mode, whatever, with finishing all the Metroid characters or meet this condition.
I just hope the conditions aren't like ultra difficult. Like, you want to unlock this one character, but you got to do something insane to get it. It's like,
remember for Melee, how we had to unlock Mewtwo, we had to play consecutively for 20 hours, and
you just have to left it powered on overnight.
I did. That's what I did.
And that's what I did. Do like 750 versus matches or whatever it was. But yeah, I just the one thing I thought was missing from this whole thing was like the story. I wanted to I want a sizable chunk of single player content.
I do too. I do too. I really hope that they put something. It's the same thing I've been kind of cramming for when it comes to a new Mario Kart entry. It's like, I love playing online, I love playing with multiplayer with friends, but I want a very good single player experience, whether it's okay, if they populate something with like challenges and like or event matches, that's a halfway mark. I'm fine with that. But I want something that's not like Smash Tour or Smash, or if it's an advanced, I want something that's like maybe close to Subspace and Mysteria or whatever, or in some way that is actually a sizable chunk of this game.
Yeah, or just bring out like the old Melee adventure mode. It was only like 25 minutes long, but it was great.
We might have that, but I don't feel we're going to have this huge mode, just because I feel like when you're planning a game like Smash Bros, especially like nowadays, you really need to like focus on what you're going to spend your time on in that project. And I feel like Subspace Emissary for them, like, was almost like half their development time was something silly. Whereas instead of doing something like that, they've poured the time into making like making sure every character is in the game and they're all tweaked and balanced, and like just going after all the little details, which I feel would be an impossible task of doing that as well as this big sprawling like adventure on top of it.
Yeah, because I mean, thankfully Sakurai's just not killing himself right now with this one as opposed to the last version, and now he's saying that this could possibly be the last one. I'm like, okay, it might be the last one with you involved, because there's no way Nintendo's walking away from a cash cow, but it's also, I don't know, Sakurai has kind of said in previous months where it's like, oh, there'll be no DLC characters, or this will be my last. It's like, we know how this works. We know how it is.
That's the thing. I feel like a comment he made is painstakingly true, though, is that like if there is another one, like it will be like incredibly difficult to have like the same like roster that they've got in Ultimate. And I think that's gonna be true if for the next Smash Bros game. I reckon it's going to look very different in that sense.
Oh,
I reckon it's going to have 65 characters in it, you know? I think it's going to be like that mid-20 mark or something, if it's on for a brand new engine again.
It's going to... If they were to do something like in the future, well, where do you go as far as more characters in every single one? I mean, I thought what we had with Wii U, the Wii U and Switch, or the Wii U and 3DS version, I was like, what can they do? Whatever. And I was like, well, here's every single one. And if they were to do another one, I feel like they would have to sacrifice some characters that people really, really like.
Oh, definitely. I do feel, from what I've seen from this Smash, though, like each game kind of brought something different to the table. I feel like this one brings the least new things, because it's pretty much just like, well, we're out of ideas, so let's just chuck all the characters in and see what happens.
Actually, that's what I feel. I think it's because, like, if you think of it I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I feel like this is more of the competitors focused game.
Yes,
and so they look at this and go, yes, it's got the tweaks, it's got one. It doesn't have that fluff I didn't care about. It's just got the core Smash elements.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what they're going for. I'm not sure, as in, I don't think they just want to sell it to people who want to try and play it competitively or attempt to play it as an esports scene.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of like, yes, they've made this game and it's got this great foundation, and if you start from scratch, it's going to take a very, very long time to make anything similar. So it just kind of makes sense to, all right, put more stuff in it and refine it.
Yeah.
Because like what they've got, I feel in terms of amount of content and just quality, those things combined, it puts other fighting games to shame. I'm not saying it's better than every other fighting game, but just in terms of the amount of characters with unique moves and stages and everything else that gets poured into Smash Bros. Games.
And just the sheer amount of unlockables and content and
like I think this is like a real, and like I feel Smash Bros. Games are like this big Nintendo just vault of just everything. Like just going through like trophies. Like how many trophies are we gonna have? But it's nice going through those little details. I feel like Smash is that one place. All right, yeah, this is your big Nintendo vault of all the weird stuff, which you may not have heard of from Nintendo or your favorite series, all in one little place, one big place. And I feel this is like the example of that.
I do feel like, for me personally, this can't be called Smash Bros. Ultimate until they finally get some Castlevania representation in this series. Because that's really all I want. Because Castlevania is a legendary series that goes stretches back to the NES.
That's I think that's going to be up to Konami, but I think Simon Belmont. I think it's. I really, really think like that. Well, like
because oddly, we got some Konami representation in Ultimate, because we've got Bomberman has an assist trophy.
Finally,
which, to be fair, he looks like a really cool assist trophy.
I do, yeah. Well, I do feel like though we could probably see Simon Belmont in the near future for this one.
I really hope so.
But I'm just trying to think though. It's like, what other character reveal would they get that would be on the same level of like what we saw with Cloud? Because no one saw that coming. No one.
Kratos.
I can't think of it. Maybe the closest I could get to
big. It's
Batman.
Like, impressive, but
Batman just turns up in Smash.
Batman here to protect the night.
Yeah.
Like in a weird way, and in the same sort of vein, like if they did go down the Goku route,
No.
Like, it would work in the sense of, like, in terms of making an impact. I'm not saying it'd be good for the game, but in terms of getting the
It would
message
be
out
good
there,
for
there's a
the
new
game.
character. Putting Goku in it, I feel, would make the internet explode for a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know much like from Melee onward, there's always going to be a legacy character. Like Melee, we had Mr. Game and Watch. Brawl, we had Rob the Robot, and the slaves, and of course.
So you're saying Cuba is about to make an appearance in Smash?
No, I'm mentioning something from Nintendo's catalog. We had, and of course, the last one we had, Duck Hunt Duo, as you guys call them over there. Trying to think what would be the next logical kind of thing as far as a legacy character they put in there, and I was thinking this hard, and you're all gonna laugh at me when I say this right now.
Pretty much.
Right? Captain N.
I thought you were going to say Urban Champion guy.
Doesn't really work for us, though.
You know what?
We
Urban
didn't really
Champion.
need Captain N.
It's got to be cool with that as well. Although
No.
they probably actually got names with the game.
No,
Yeah.
okay. Here's a good thing they could do for if Simon Belmont is revealed. I hope they troll the hell out of everybody and give the Captain N version of the Simon Belmont.
No.
I would laugh so hard.
He's like a knucklehead. He's an idiot. No.
Oh, no.
You
And
can't
his whip's just alive. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's. Yeah.
Just wow, so much. Again, when you look at these things, you're like, wow, this is just nothing like everything out there. But they realize, oh wait, it was the late '80s. Of course, they didn't give a care. But no, I did like your idea of an urban champion fighter. That actually might be hilarious, pretty good.
The question would be, like, would they do like the Game & Watch thing where he looks like his original sprite, or would they do like a somehow modernized version of the urban champion guys? And like, what style would that even be? Would they look like Punch-Out characters? Would they look like anime characters, or like?
I mean,
are they like really
I was gonna say Little Mac,
characters?
but Little Mac had a Wii game, so that doesn't really work. Yeah, that's tough.
So maybe just original, maybe just sprites. There'll be sprites.
Yeah, I guess.
Because I guess the closest thing we've got to a sprite character is Game & Watch, and he's his own thing. Or Pac-Man, I guess.
He's already sprightly though.
Yeah, and even then, I don't think we actually have. Like, we've got like sprite assist trophies. Like the one I jumped to is like the Advance Wars army, which jumps in.
Yep.
They are just the actual sprites from the games.
Just games put in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that could work. I reckon we should have a sprite character amongst everything else. Make another good Amiibo.
I mean, it kind of would, yeah.
Be beautiful.
No.
All right. Well, Smash Bros is what the show ended on. Is there anything else Smash Bros related that we'd like to cover before we move on?
GameCube controller support is coming back, so that's
That is
good.
true.
There's the shocker. Who didn't see that coming?
Well, I saw that coming. I didn't necessarily see the next part coming, which is the fact they are going to be selling new GameCube controllers yet again. Because it was an easy job. Because like apparently GameCube controllers already work with the Switch. For certain games. We're not sure what it picks it up as.
Yeah.
But I remember that story going around. So it's like, well, that would make sense for them just to add in support for the accessory they already made and sold. But now they're going to be selling those things again with slightly different logos on the front.
Ooh. Oh, I will say about Smash Bros. Like the front cover of this game is probably my favorite front cover for a Smash Bros. Game.
Yeah, very cool art as well.
It's
That
very
promotional
cool
art.
I think it's really it's awesome.
Awesome. All right, let's close this by saying, like, do we assume, do we think there are going to be some more Smash characters being announced before the game comes out between now and then? If so, many of you.
Yeah. I'll say maybe a low number because I think I know Sakurai said that there may be a lower number of newcomers to this one, but knowing that the date that they started from planning this, I think we'll probably, like, whether directs or rather random videos that they'll post on there. I think we're probably going to see some more than whether DLC comes out to it. So possibilities endless for this one.
All right, I'm going to add in a bonus question as well to wrap this up. So I'll let you do it as a first, Harrison. So if you had to guess a character, which will be ready, as it were, for the game's launch, who would that be? They've not announced yet.
If I had to say a new one, King K. Rool.
All right, cool. And these can be ones we've just discussed, sort of thing. Colin, do you reckon we'll get Well, let's just join this into one. If you think, what new Smash character do you reckon we'll see?
My heart says Simon Belmont, but I don't think we're ever going to get it. Let's go obscure. Let's go with Sammy.
Huh.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll happen, but that's a good. I like the choice out of that one.
But I like your optimism. That's good. Yes.
If you would have said one of the knights from Knights in the Dreams, I'd be like, okay, that could possible.
Well, yeah, see more as an assist trophy, but yeah, it'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I reckon we'll see not many more, but a few more. Probably maybe 3, maybe 2. One of them. This isn't going to be my guess, but I reckon we'll have a new Fire Emblem character from the new Fire Emblem game.
Of course,
Exactly. That's not, doesn't even
Sakurai
that
loves
was
that
banked.
series,
So we'll have. Annoyingly, it'll probably be who the new avatar create your own character is.
Mhm.
So we have 3 of them for some reason, male and female designs. Actual character who isn't a Fire Emblem character, or a Xenoblade one. I reckon that one may be fairly safe. I do like the idea of the Urban Champion guy. It was my idea, so I'm going with it. I'm not stealing it. And in sprite form, Urban Champion is going to be our new retro guy. That fills me with joy.
I was saving my thoughts of actually the Virtual Boy because there was an American version where it's actually walking, and I'm thinking how terrifying that would be as a fighter.
It would be interesting to think just like introduce systems.
It's
Final
characters.
It'd be the best as an assist trophy. It comes up and covers the screen and turns everything black and red.
Ooh, that I like
How
that.
cool would that be?
It's
Anyway.
It's Final Smash actually. Yeah, it just blinds you like it.
it just does your eyes in. Yeah, great.
Or I could just also do the screen comes up, which like just suggests you take a break sort of thing, but the fight's actually still going in the background. It could be all these things.
Best.
All right, that is gonna cover our E3 show for this week. I imagine there will still be more E3 things to talk about next week. But we shall see what else happens between now and then. As always, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Nintendo Voice. That's where you can go to help support the show. You can suggest features for us to cover in a show, which are going to be becoming a bigger thing as well. And if you don't already, if you're listening to the audio-only version, you do also have youtube.com/Nintendo Voice. You can check out our video. And before we go, let's do our usual thing. Go around the group and we'll let you know how you can get hold of us if you so choose and anything else we're up to. Harrison.
Yes.
How can the fine folks of the internet get hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at Twitter at HMilfeld, and if you want to check out all my different writings that I've done over at E3, you can check out my friends at PureNintendo.com. Currently now writing my write-ups of my hands-on impressions of Smash Brothers and Let's Go Pikachu. So, which I did not briefly get a chance to talk on there. I will briefly just say I will say though it's a nice middle ground between the Go players and those who are wanting the core experience. And I did get to play with that little Pokeball Plus thing, and it was kind of cool doing it one-handed and stuff, and just traveling. It would be a lot better if I'm actually sitting on a couch doing it probably, but I was standing up doing it. But yeah, just an upscaled little version of Pokemon Yellow, and it looks nice. So,
so even more free content to check out. So where's that again?
It'll be at PureNintendo.com, but it'll be the stuff that I'm publishing right now will be through the digital magazine.
Okay. And Colin, how can people get hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at HeidiandBard, which is spelled how you think it is. I don't really have anything to plug. My streams are kind of like temporarily on hold.
Oh,
I get my computer set up again. I do some PS4 streams, but I'm not going to plug that here. It's not really worth it.
It's not worth it. You're right. It's not worth it.
It really isn't. But yeah, so once I get that sorted and I'm back on track, I'll let you guys know.
Awesome. And for me, for whatever reason you want to get hold of me, you can find me on Twitter or the Instagrams, LEUVSION. I've got nothing further to plug beyond this wonderful show. Do check out all the wonderful things we do.
And the wonderful new apartment you're in.
Exactly. Yes.
Only on the video version.
Well, come around for your Mario Party parties. And contact me on Twitter. that's going to do it for this show. Hope you have enjoyed your E3 and all the good E3 content out there. This has been a Nintendo Voice, and thank you for watching and listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Happy E3.